Hey everybody, I'm doing a follow-up because I did a whoopsies. I don't think I explained all of this very well in the last video. So I don't know if this person is pro or against things like Madame Blavatsky and the Luciferian doctrine, but this is a good website just to get a solid base of knowledge, because if you're not really familiar with who things like progressive Theosophists are, you need to know that some of their roots of their movement, I guess you could just call it an occult movement that was pretty much started in that later Victorian era of the 1800s, but its roots can be traced a lot to Gnosticism and then Neo-Platonism. And that is, this roots back to, I think, is that the Greek or is it the Roman? Let me do this really quick because I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, let's click on that. Sorry, I should probably read a bunch of this stuff before I do it. But anyways, if you want to have context and a solid foundation, you can read a little bit on Neo-Platonism. So I'm just trying to figure out if this is Greek or Roman. That was really my question here. Because America and the Western Foundation is based off of, Greek and Roman history, which when you go through academia and college, you think, oh, this is so good, and they were so smart. And then you're like, no, once you actually become awakened and realize that this is all rooted to Satanism, and the Greeks and Romans were major sex magic cultures, very hedonistic and demonic. A major factor in this syncretism, and one had an immense influence on the development of Platonic thought, was the introduction of the Jewish scriptures into Greek intellectual circles via the translation known as Septuagint. I don't know. Anyways, I want to move on with my video. So this video actually has been, the original link has been taken. This video has been removed off of YouTube. So to further understand certain progressive theosophy, which, many of these leaders have their Masonic connections, what is really concerning is that a lot of the progressive theosophists, when you start reading, they believe in developing a lot of quote unquote, we'll just use the word supernatural power. So having power that you can equip yourself with to become almost like a god. I guess you could say it like a god yourself. I know it's not presented that way to the normal people, especially your 18-year-old little college kid who gets into Wicca because they're all about herbalism. They don't understand a lot of the deeper layers and connections of the things that they're getting themselves into. I'm only going to play the first minute or two, but to understand certain things on the upcoming sixth race that these theosophists want to create, it's really important to understand the roots and lineages, not only of what progressive theosophists believe in, but also just the root of Hollywood in general. So you can look this up on Rumble and watch the whole thing. The guy does a whole walkthrough, and it's pretty good.
Well, hello everyone. I'm taking a walk today in the Hollywood Hills. Am I in the United States of America? I hear you ask. No, I'm just on the outskirts of Rome. These are the Hollywood Hills, no joke. This place is called Nemi, which in Latin is Nemus, or the Holy Wood. You see how all the trees in the hills are very, very ironically similar to the United States Hollywood in California? I think you could pretty much just insert the American Hollywood sign right in the middle of that grove, and it wouldn't look much.
Okay, so I'm just going to stop that there. I just was sent this today, and I'm currently in the middle of listening to it. And throughout my questioning process, I guess, which I actually started over a year ago in like February of last year, this is further connecting the dots. So you have Professor Hamamoto. They uploaded this video in 2016, but I think they might have filmed it around 2015. He is a professor, I don't know about now in current time, but at the time at UC Davis. And so this woman here has her career done in academia as well as in things like nuclear power, and is talking a lot about, I don't want to say the root races. They're not talking about progressive theosophy at all. It actually comes from more of a research academic standpoint, but they are looking at the roots of everything. So when you understand that our current Southern California Hollywood actually roots to this little area outside of Rome, where a lot of sacrifice and rituals have been taken. Let's see if I can find, well, anyways, I do recommend just watching this whole video. It's really short and fast. It's 12 minutes. The establishment from Rome has infiltrated its way to the United States to create a lot of what we know in Southern California, to create the Hollywood and Beverly Hills. I kind of have this thought that part of the reason why there, all these like homeless people are running rampant in like the Beverly Hills, Hollywood area, similar to the West Coast, is so people just end up leaving, and then that core group of people who owns everything down there can just start to buy up all the real estate and take over. Oops, that was the wrong thing. Oop, that's an estate sale. Sorry. Sorry, let me, so knowing the connection to Rome, I just found this video today, so I'm only 1 hour and 12 minutes in, but I do recommend listening to this. She is connecting the dots where everything roots back to pretty much the Iranian, that Middle Eastern era. And those are things that I kind of actually knew or understood. When you look at Eastern Star and Masonry in general, all that knowledge ends up rooting back toward the Middle East. If you know any sort of migration patterns of human history, a lot of it from not only the Silk Road, migrating toward, say, things like going toward Italy, but when you know that the Moors were in Spain for 700 years, and then the Catholics started, the authentic Catholics wanted to kick out the Moors as well as a lot of the Jews out of Spain. You have Ignatius Loyola, who they call like the crypto Jew. So he was Jewish that converted into Catholicism. You see this infiltration that has happened and has been widespread. So Spanish people are naturally white. When you see a lot of, from what I've understood, is like when you have like the brown skinned Spanish people, some people might think it's just a suntan. I thought, from what I've kind of learned, is that generally those people have a mix of Spanish and Moorish bloodline. So that Moorish bloodline, the Spaniard Catholics have also, infiltrated its way or migrated, colonized its way down to South America and Mexico. So you have a lot of these, if you think about like those more machismo cultures, they actually have, their roots back toward that Iranian, Middle Eastern, kind of Persian era. I'm talking about the ancient, more like Babylonian times. So this is a very fascinating video to listen to. So then you can kind of understand how things currently happening in Southern California, going back to Rome, and then Rome going back toward that Aryan time in the Iranian era of Babylonia. It starts to make things more clear, especially because these two are having conversations. A lot of things what have happened in UC Davis. You have people who have been selected or elected from these migration crises that occurred through, like, let's say post World War II, and they made their way from Hungary or the Czech Republic down to Chicago, making its way toward California. So you're starting to see this connection of these agendas going, and Hollywood from California and Rome from that video not only looks the same, but we can see that the vanity and the narcissism, because I think he said this is called Diana's mirror, is the lake. And all of those Roman Greek gods, you know, if you read it from an unbiased point of view, a lot of it has the narcissistic tendencies. That's where no, I can't say that Greek god named Narcissus, where he just loved his reflection in the lake so much and just became so self-absorbed. So there is this genuine reality with the law of attraction, where most of the vanity and the narcissism in this country really does root to Southern California and Los Angeles, that area, especially with the creation of Hollywood and all these celebrities and stars who are getting worshipped. So earlier in the last video, I think I saw the number 6, but I didn't realize it said the sub-6 race. But this is going to be, you know, they're saying like far in the future, in the 20th century. But we can see from the creation of these progressive Theosophists, the Luciferian doctrine from the Victorian era, so you're talking like 150 years ago, they are setting the stage up for what they want to get predicted more toward that 28th century. So if you're reading this while I'm talking, is the creation of, well, I'm going to say it's the creation of their new world order, but it's going to be established, you know, in that Baja California area, which, you know, technically the Baja California is south of the Californian border, but that whole area from like Los Angeles down towards San Jose del Cabo is pretty much been taken over by a lot of elites. I did my honeymoon in San Jose del Cabo, which is not far from Cabo San Lucas, which is the big party degenerate town of that Baja California area. You know, it's like the Cancun of Baja. And on the cliff sides looking over the oceans, there's these like giant mansions that are like fucking 12 bedrooms that's owned by the owners of Netflix and the CEOs of Netflix. So all of these elitist mind control douchebags have already got its way down toward that area, and who the frick knows what the hell these people are doing. So if we can think about how long it takes for an agenda to happen, I mean, think about Ignatius Loyola converting into Catholicism, and then that whole like corruption line. I think that was in the 15th century or the 1500s. It might have been the 15th century. I think it was around the 1400s. I mean, we were talking like that was 700 years ago. So, you know, it might only take another 500-600 years from the 21st century to the 28th century for them to get their sub-root race. But you already see this establishment in that Hollywood area, as well as them starting to take over that part of Mexico, because they also are the people with money who can grab and gobble up all of that seaside property because they have the fucking cash, and they're probably, you know, connected to whatever the hell runs, you know, anyways. But this progressive, I don't even want to use the word progressive, but this God, I can never say this word, Theosophical society, these pretty much occultists, they want to be under the guidance of the masters of ancient wisdom that will take place in the 20th century for the intensive selective eugenic breeding of the 6th root race. So I don't know what exactly that would establish or entail, but pretty much their master, it is further believed that by that time the world will be powered by nuclear power, and there will be a single world government which is led by a person who will be the reincarnation of Julius Caesar. Once again, all of that should be like major red flags to anything that is rooted to this. So all these poor college kids that are indoctrinated by Satanism, which actually is the part of the discussion that I'm talking about here, And the funny thing is, I meant to follow up with this video a few days ago, and I've been really busy the last week. So it was kind of ironic that this was sent to me as I was planning on doing this follow-up video, because this woman has spent her career in nuclear power and is talking about how all of this radiation is destroying the planet. The antennas and the radiation are destroying the planet. Her name is Lauren Moret. I 100%, if you can't listen to it all at once, listen to this in bits and pieces, because she's been seeing this stuff happen back in the 80s, and her career in academia and seeing this stuff has been her awakening process. So these two people, in my opinion, are what we would say is the true, authentic American intellectualism, which is using that academic knowledge and research capabilities in a positive way to not harm humanity. So when you hear this video, when you have your understandings of what Theosophy is, the Luciferian doctrine, and then you kind of understand the origins of Hollywood, California, that roots back to Rome, and then you listen to this video and you can understand how Rome and Italy are pretty much, their bloodlines are Iranian, you'll start to see this connection, how it all roots back. Now, this Theosophical Society wants this creation. We are currently in our 5th root race, and they want to create the 6th root race. That, I mean, anytime you hear the word eugenic, like, fuck, that should just be enough. In the last video, I talked about that Pan America project. So there is a current plan in place to make us all look one, pretty much Egyptian. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, this should be pretty much, you should pretty much not want to support anything that has to do with any of these people. I mean, from, like I said, it is harvesting, these people are harvesting humans from a monetary and a spiritual perspective. So I don't know what can make people so pissed off and angry that they just like start rebelling against all of this. And it starts with the pocketbook, because if these people didn't have money and support, which is the only thing they care about, then they kind of don't really have a whole lot. Although they're loaded, because most of these people are involved in the illegal transportation of, let's just say, human beings, organs, things like that. And yeah, so, you know, we're already diving into history of things that happened 500, 600, 700 years ago. And we are currently living in a state to where these fucked up psychopathic people want what's happening now, that establishment of Southern California and Baja, Mexico, and all this Theosophy, Satanism that's going on in their golden age. You know, this is the foundations for their potential future through the 28th century. So